Well, another E3 has come and gone, and when the general consensus is that the overall presentations this year were just it's reassuring to know that Nintendo at least put on a good performance when they themselves haven't always had the best track record. Just as I've done before, I'm here to talk about what I feel was a pretty solid showing overall from the big N. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 got a trailer, and it looks even more anime than the first game. I've never played the Xenoblade series, and unfortunately, this one isn't really doing much to convince me to start now. But it'll probably be good for the people who are looking forward to it, and I'm genuinely surprised that it hasn't been delayed at this point if it's going to be anywhere near as massive as the original game was. Part of me still thinks it could slip into early next year over the next few months, but I hope it doesn't for the sake of the people who want this. Regardless of how I feel, it's another strong release for the Switch, and the more of those, the better. Pokken Tournament Deluxe got some screen time, which caught me off guard admittedly. After we had just gotten a Pokemon Direct a few days before, I was convinced that Pokemon was going to be completely absent from the show. But nope, it got a mention too. I enjoyed the original game on my Wii U, and it's great to see that this is finally getting the arcade exclusive characters, plus Decidueye. But I'm not quite sure if I'm willing to double dip so easily with this one like I did for Mario Kart 8. I'm just sort of waiting to see some big major change or addition to this version to make it superior. Kind of like an equivalent to Mario Kart's battle mode. Maybe something like that has already been announced and I'm just not aware of it, since I'm not actively keeping up with this game. I don't know. As much as I liked Pokken Tournament, it got kind of boring after a while, and this isn't really the same thing as Smash Bros. Where new characters are the thing that draw me back in. Pokken is a little more technical of a fighting game, and because of that, I really only had one or two Pokemon I liked to play with back during the original release, without touching the rest of the roster at all. Adding more to it doesn't really do much for me when the characters I'd just use again are already there. But since the small roster was a major complaint for the Wii U version, adding more characters into the Deluxe Edition doesn't hurt in the slightest as far as I'm concerned. Pokken was an underrated gem from the Wii U, and I'm glad it's getting another chance to shine on a more successful system where it'll most likely sell a lot better. While we're on the topic of Pokemon, I really don't care for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I never played the original versions of Sun and Moon because I tried the demo for those games and the game ran like garbage on my old school 3DS, so I passed on it. Unless these games specifically fix frame rate issues across the board, I really can't bring myself to care. Besides, I would rather play a core Pokemon game on my Switch than my 3DS at this point. So I guess it's a good thing one is apparently in development, huh? Yeah, I had to do a double take when they low-key dropped that bomb that a core Pokemon RPG for the Switch is in the works. I'm not really surprised that they had literally nothing to show for it yet since they've got other Pokemon titles in development right now, but I'm pretty excited to get this confirmation all the same. Let's face it, it was inevitable. It was going to happen at some point, and I'm glad it's coming sooner rather than later in the system's life. Sure, I can understand some people downplaying the importance of this announcement since literally nothing about it was shown, not even a placeholder title or logo, but the reason I'm so excited for this is because now that we know it's in development, it's something we can expect to see in a future Nintendo Direct. It's kind of like when Iwata first announced Smash for Wii U and 3DS, even though those games hadn't even started production yet. That got me so excited to see the first trailer for it at E3 the year after. Now that we know it's coming, we get to look forward to actually seeing it next time around. And it's still a surprise because we haven't actually seen what it's going to look like yet. Holy shit, if this has Pokken Tournament level of detail in the models in a standard Pokemon RPG, I don't think my heart can handle that. I had a similar response to the announcement of Metroid Prime 4 being in development, which is what a lot of people are arguing was one of the biggest highlights of Nintendo's presentation. So the people who are trying to rain on everyone's parade and downplay this one too, lay off and just let the fans have their time in the sun, will ya? Sure, all we got was a logo, and yeah, we can't even begin to imagine when this will come out since it's only starting development. But it's the principle of the matter. It's what the logo represents that is so important. Metroid is back from the dead after 7 years, and it's going back to what the series used to be. No more of this Federation Force crap, no more wondering and waiting and hoping for some glimmer of hope that the franchise will come back someday. It's happening, and it's going in the right direction. And just like with Pokemon, now that we know it exists, we get to look forward to actually seeing it in action in the future. I mean, I'm not even a Metroid fan, and I'm so happy for you guys. Good for you, Metroid fans. You've been waiting for so long, and now all that waiting is finally paying off. I hope Prime 4 comes out without too many delays, and I hope it's everything you guys wanted it to be and more. Plus, I'm sure it certainly doesn't hurt that you're getting another Metroid game this year to play in the meantime. Yeah, I haven't forgotten about that. Metroid's getting 2 games out of this big return, and one of them is only 3 months away from release. If Metroid can make a comeback in a big way like this, I believe there's hope for F-Zero to do the same someday. Sandwiched in the mix, we also got a glimpse of a new Kirby and Yoshi game coming next year. Neither of them have actual names yet, but just like with Pokemon and Metroid, it's just nice to know they exist. I'm interested in the Kirby one because it brings back the power to combine abilities together from Kirby 64, which was one of my favorite Kirby games. I'm a little surprised we're seeing another Yoshi game so soon when Woolly World really isn't that old yet. Hell, didn't we just get it ported to the 3DS earlier this year? It's interesting though, because it kind of looks like Woolly World, but at the same time it's clearly not. Yoshi still looks like he's made out of yarn, but he's not all chibi anymore. The game looks like Woolly World meets Yoshi's Story, and I liked both of those games, so I'm sure I'll like this one too. But I don't mind waiting until next year to see more of it. We got some details on the new Breath of the Wild DLC that's coming soon, and I can't wait for it. The features technically weren't a surprise since we already got an announcement of what would be in Pack 1 a while ago, but all I really wanted from this announcement was a glimpse of this stuff in action and a release date. I got both of those, so I'm happy. I'll take any excuse I can get to go back and sink some more hours into Breath of the Wild now that I finished the main story and found all the shrines, and it looks like there's enough new stuff here to feel worth the investment. We also got a tease of Pack 2, but we really don't know anything else about it now aside from the fact that it has something to do with the champions. Also, the champions are getting amiibo. I would say that's exciting, but if for some reason my video is the first time you're hearing about this, you've most likely already missed the pre-order window. As much as I like and look forward to seeing more of the champions, I'm not really losing sleep over not being able to get their amiibo. Rivali looks fine, but he's a dick and I don't like him. If I can find Daruk in stores somewhere on release day, I'll think about getting him, but he's not a priority. Mipha is probably my favorite champion, but I don't like how she's got a serious case of the amiibo face, and Urbosa is just... Nintendo, what the fuck? Fire Emblem Warriors was a game I expected to see more of at E3, which we did, but I haven't been anticipating it too much since I'm not a die-hard fan of the franchise, despite having some enjoyment with Awakening. I'm kind of glad I'm not that excited for this because if I was, I'd honestly be pretty disappointed with what was shown this time around. If I had to pick any announcement from the Nintendo Spotlight that I felt was weak or disappointing, it was probably this one, and it has nothing to do with my level of enjoyment for these games. Fire Emblem is a long-running series that has a vast catalog of unique characters to choose from, and the fact that Warriors is only choosing ones from Awakening and Fates for this game's roster so far is sure to be disappointing to many. I mean, it doesn't even have Ike or Roy. What, it couldn't have at least had all the Smash Bros. Characters? That aside, the game really doesn't seem like it's going to have much weapon variety either outside of standard swords, which is a huge problem since there are so many other unique weapon wielders they could have included. All I'm saying is that Hyrule Warriors set the bar pretty high for Dynasty Warriors games that are themed after Nintendo properties, and this one looks like it's kind of falling short of that. Which is a shame because this was pretty much exactly what people wanted after Hyrule Warriors. People thought Fire Emblem would be a good fit for this franchise, it's happening, and it doesn't look like it's going to be as good as it could be. I expected we'd see ARMS and Splatoon 2 in the spotlight, even though they've gotten so much coverage already. Still, Reggie kept it brief by just being all like, oh, by the way, these games are going to have tournaments at E3, go watch them. And I'm thankful for that. Nintendo has had a problem of focusing on certain games for too long in their directs before, and I was worried that ARMS and Splatoon were going to be doing the same thing here. But I'm glad they didn't. As for what I think of these games themselves, I'm still very much looking forward to Splatoon 2. Everything I've seen of it looks promising, and I kind of want to go back and play the original Splatoon a little bit more before the sequel comes out next month, just to get back into the feel of it. This will probably be the next major release I pick up for my Switch, and it's a good thing too, because I'm about ready to play something else on the system that isn't Mario Kart. Unfortunately, my indifference to ARMS really hasn't changed at all, and I think I'm ultimately going to pass on this one. I'm not saying it looks bad, but I've really tried to get excited for it, and it's just not clicking with me. I'm not even curious about it. It probably doesn't help that I missed out on all the test punches, so I haven't had any time to try out the game for myself at all, but from the footage I have seen, I just don't think this game would hold my attention for long. I don't think it's going to be worth full price to me. Oh well. By the time this video gets done, the game will already be out. I hope everyone else is enjoying it, but I think I'm just going to wait for Splatoon 2. Last thing we have to talk about is Mario. That's right, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I have to admit, I'm legitimately surprised at how much Ubisoft managed to not fuck this up. The game actually looks really decent. When it was first leaked, I was skeptical just like everyone else, but I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. But holy shit, it looks much better than I think any of us were ever expecting it to be. They could have done some stupid, gimmicky little minigame collection where you waggle with the Joy-Cons and it's just the Rabbids but with a Mario skin slapped over to sell a few more copies. But no, it's actually a legitimate attempt to do something new and interesting. I've never touched XCOM or any of those strategy-centric type games, but I think I'm willing to make this my first attempt at it. I want to see a little bit more gameplay of it first, but for now, I have to give Ubisoft some serious brownie points for actually managing to pull this concept off. When you think about it, it's kind of fucked up that the Rabbids got a legitimate crossover with Mario before Sonic did, but hopefully this game sells well. Hopefully Nintendo will see that, and then they'll become more willing to put Mario in more crossovers with non-Nintendo franchises. I love when Mario does stuff outside the norm, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Also, I just have to bring this up because it is my video. That trailer was adorable. Absolutely adorable. I loved that trailer so goddamn much. The CG was so good, and I am gonna keep saying it. You know what I'm gonna say. Nintendo, CG, Mario, cartoon, please! Okay, now it's time to talk about Mario Odyssey. But I can't think of any other way to start off this segment except asking you guys one question. Is it possible to marry a video game? Because I want to fucking marry this game. And it's not even because of the whole Bowser and Peach wedding motif. This game continues to delight me and take my breath away. This game has made me feel things I have never felt before in all of my years of playing games. I wanted to scream in my reaction video. I really did. But I just couldn't. I sat there quietly in awe. I was in absolute bliss when I watched this trailer. It made me numb and hard in the best possible way. I love everything about this game that I've seen. Absolutely everything. The more I watch this trailer and the more I try to find things that I don't like about it, the harder it is to do. It amazes me in ways that I can't describe with words. If I could summarize the kind of magic I feel when I play Nintendo games, it could be summed up with Mario Odyssey. When I watch this trailer and listen to that superb vocal track, which I've been listening to on loop every day since last Tuesday, by the way, and looked at all the things Mario can take over with his magical hat partner thing now, my mind was racing with all these imaginative ways I could think of to have fun with this game. I haven't even watched all of the treehouse footage yet, but from what I've seen, I find myself tuning out to what the commentators are saying because I just get lost in my thoughts when I'm watching it, like, ooh, what's that over there off screen? I bet I can figure out how to get up there. That spin dash is going to be so fun to get around with. I wonder what happens if I try to possess that thing. I feel like a kid again. I really do, and I can't begin to tell you how much I love that. Breath of the Wild already did that for me. I felt this sense of curiosity and childlike wonder that I thought I lost over the years when I was exploring that game. But then I got to a point where I figured out what to do and I almost stopped being surprised by stuff. But then Mario Odyssey comes along and it looks like it's going to give me that same feeling all over again, and it just feels so wonderful. It feels so good. I mean, Nintendo fucks up a lot. They do a lot of stupid shit, and it makes you want to hate them for it. But then they make games like this, and they remind me of just how good they can be when they're at their best, and I fall in love with them all over again. It's frustrating, and it's wonderful, all at the same time. Super Mario 64. That was the first game I ever played. I have these fond, untouchable memories with it, and for so long, I felt like Nintendo could never make a game that I would feel passionate about in quite the same way. But from the perspective of a blinded, rose-tinted, nostalgia goggles-wearing fucknut like me, I think Mario Odyssey has the potential to challenge Mario 64. I think it has potential to capture what made that game so great and to surpass it by overcoming the problems that 3D Mario games of the past have faced. It's already breaking traditions. It doesn't have a life system, you just lose coins instead. You aren't kicked from the level after you collect a moon, you just keep going indefinitely. All of the enemies and objects that Mario can possess can open up new ways to explore these open environments. When I watched that treehouse demo of the Wooded Kingdom and I got to that part where the commentator jumped off the branch, I thought to myself, here it comes, it's the bottomless pit. The 3D Mario games always have an out-of-bounds death trap. But instead the game pulls a Wario World and Mario just drops down into another area of the world. My jaw dropped. My mind was blown. I wish I had recorded my reaction to that. I wish you guys could have seen the look on my face when I saw that, because the game had just given me a taste of how ambitious it was going to be to surpass the previous 3D Mario games. The more I see of this game, the more I can't believe it's real. It looks too good to be true. I know I'm rambling like an idiot at this point, but God, just let me have this moment. Even aside from the gameplay, everything else surrounding Mario Odyssey is just falling so perfectly into place. It already threw us a curveball with Pauline coming back as the mayor of New Donk City. I gotta know what her thoughts are on Peach, since those two have never interacted before. Does Peach getting kidnapped bring back any memories from her? That would be one of the best callbacks Nintendo has ever done. Is this story going to have even the slightest hint of depth? Maybe something like Rosalina with Mario Galaxy? Because you all know how much I would absolutely love that. The game's getting amiibo, and you bet your ass I've already got them pre-ordered even though I just ran out of shelf space. That song, that vocal track, it was just so magical. And if Nintendo ever released that on iTunes, I'd buy it 100 times over. The fact that this game is coming out in October, that's even earlier than holiday, which means we get to play it that much sooner. And it's on the Switch, so you can take it on the go, and... I'm sorry, I need a minute. Look, long story short, Mario Odyssey. That was my highlight of the entire E3 this year, by far. Even if they had shown Smash Brothers, I still think I would be more hyped for this. Oh yeah, speaking of which, as great as I thought Nintendo was at E3 this year, there were of course some things that I would have liked to see that I didn't. I think the one announcement I wanted to see the most was Animal Crossing. We didn't see that. But you know what? I think I'm okay with it. Maybe it's going to have some kind of connectivity with that mobile game that we're still waiting to hear about, so they're holding off on showing a new game until they can talk about that. Maybe Animal Crossing is what the Splatoon team is going to work on next after they're finished with Splatoon 2. Who knows? Look, the reason I want Animal Crossing so much is because I love New Leaf, but even with the Amiibo update it got a little while back, I'm ready to see what a new entry could offer. I absolutely loved that I could take New Leaf with me anywhere since it was on the 3DS, but the thought of what it can do on the Switch just excites me. Being able to play an Animal Crossing game that takes advantage of more powerful hardware than the 3DS, but still has the same portability, is just way too enticing to me. But whatever the reason is, we didn't see it here. And that's okay. I think I can wait a little bit longer for it. I guess I also would have liked to have seen a Mario spin-off game of some sort. After seeing that Nintendo has gotten a lot more ambitious lately with Mario, I kind of want them to go back and give us a real honest attempt at a Mario sports game or Mario Party again. They just seem like they're trying a lot harder now than they did on the Wii U, so I want to see them redeem themselves after how bad Mario Party 10 and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash were. And I think that since the Switch has this branding of being a hit at parties, that they could do some unique stuff with Mario Party especially. I want to see if they can try to do these franchises correctly on the Switch when they couldn't on the Wii U. But you know what? We did get Mario and Rabbids, so that technically counts as a spin-off, and that looks interesting, so honestly, I'm really not too heartbroken about this. I think these Mario spin-off games will come later in the Switch's life. Just not yet, obviously. I wasn't necessarily expecting to see F-Zero, but since Metroid came back, I still think there's hope. I really do. I really think that the Switch being a success has kind of given Nintendo a little more confidence to try again with other franchises, which is why we saw Metroid. And if Metroid does even half as well as Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart did, and Mario Odyssey is bound to do, then it could pave the way for them thinking about maybe looking at F-Zero again. It's only the first year of the Switch's life, people. It's already doing better than the Wii U. I want to believe there's still time and that there's still a chance. Finally, there's the matter of Smash Bros. A lot of people were confident that we would see the deluxe port of Smash Wii U with all the 3DS stages and Smash Run and Ice Climbers and Inklings or whatever it is the rumors have been suggesting. But it didn't happen. However, unlike a lot of people, I think it could still happen, and I have some theories as to why it didn't right now. There's no doubt we'll see Smash on the Switch at some point. There just isn't. Like Pokemon, it's inevitable, and it's a matter of when rather than if. The main reason I think a Smash 4 port is still happening is because despite the work that would be required to make it, that still wouldn't compare to the amount of work it would take to make Smash 5. Even just aside from the size of the character roster, it's gonna take a lot from Nintendo to top Smash 4 in a sequel, provided they didn't already decide that Smash 4 was the peak and that the only direction to go from here is to scale it back going forward and refine what's already been established. If Nintendo has decided they do want to work on Smash 5 next, there was no way we were going to see it at E3 this year, and we probably would be lucky to get even just a teaser for it at E3 next year. But come on, if Mario Kart 8 and even Pokken Tournament could get ports on the Switch, then there's no way they didn't feel that Smash wasn't just as deserving of one. If I'm right, and we are still going to see an Ultimate Smash 4 Deluxe port or whatever on the Switch, I have some theories as to why we didn't see it now. First of all, we don't need Smash right now. The Switch is nowhere near the same situation that the Wii U was in. It's not struggling, and it doesn't need Smash to come save it as soon as possible. In fact, when you look at Nintendo's first-party release schedule for the rest of 2017, there's practically no room for Smash. ARMS just came out, Splatoon 2 is coming in July, then Mario and Rabbids in August, Pokken Tournament DX in September, and even though it's slated for a fall release, I'm willing to bet Fire Emblem Warriors will be somewhere around here too. Then there's Mario Odyssey in October, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is scheduled for holiday, so that can mean late November to anywhere in December. There's practically a new major release coming every month. Where on earth would Smash fit in here? Even if it were coming this year, let's be real, it would overshadow Pokken Tournament and ARMS easily. So it would probably be better to give these games a chance to shine and save Smash for next year to fill in the gap somewhere alongside Yoshi and Kirby. My second theory is imagine the kind of work a deluxe version of Smash would take. New characters and stages alone, that's not stuff that can be churned out in like a month. That stuff takes months to develop. And if we're getting more than one, that development time gets multiplied. I don't think I need to even mention how much time it would probably take to put together a new mode and to get it working properly. The point is, it's a lot easier to make a port for Mario Kart than Smash Bros. Because the way they're developed is drastically different. If a port is in fact on the way, it's gonna take time to make. Obviously more time than Mario Kart or Pokken Tournament did. Next, I think there's a possibility that the game is going through a lot of licensing issues. How long did it take for us to finally see Cloud's amiibo? Well over a year after the development was confirmed. I would not be surprised if Square Enix or Capcom is being difficult in renewing their licenses with Nintendo to use their characters for Smash, or if they're still working out a deal with the company for a new third-party character. There's quite a handful of non-Nintendo owned characters appearing in this game, so I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that getting all of the legal details squared away takes a lot of time. Finally, Smash doesn't have to be announced during Nintendo's presentation at E3. Brawl was announced outside of the show. Obviously, it probably isn't happening this year since E3 is already over, but Nintendo can drop a bomb like this on us at any time they want to. They could do it at another gaming convention, or even at the next main Nintendo Direct in the future. Who knows? If you don't believe the port exists, that's fine. I don't have definitive proof that it does. But just declaring that it's not happening solely on the grounds that we didn't see it at E3 this year is a bit presumptuous in my opinion. I'm not even advocating that we absolutely need Smash right now. Just looking at the Switch's lineup for the rest of the year, I think we're going to have a lot to play, and I can always just play the Wii U version in the meantime. I'm not absolutely dying to jump over to the Switch to play Smash, especially not if I'm going to have to start paying for this garbage netcode next year. God, I hope they fix that. If I had to give Nintendo a grade for their presence at E3 this year, I'd probably give them a solid A. I mean, I loved how much exciting news they ultimately managed to cram into 25 minutes. The Treehouse stuff continues to be excellent. Mario Odyssey impressed the hell out of me. ARMS, Splatoon 2, and Pokken all got their time in the tournaments instead of eating into the spotlight itself, which I absolutely appreciate. And hell, they even announced games outside of the spotlight that I haven't even talked about here, like the remake for Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Sure, they didn't talk about Animal Crossing, or Smash, or F-Zero, or the Virtual Console, but there's something I can't help but wonder if people aren't catching on to yet. I still see people talking about these announcements with this immense sense of urgency, like, we have to get Smash right now, and we got Metroid, but we need F-Zero too, why didn't they announce that? Or, you can't get excited for Prime 4 and Pokemon, they didn't show us anything yet. Holy shit guys, calm down. I think this sense of urgency that everyone's getting is a testament to just how much of a colossal failure the Wii U was. I really think it just hasn't caught on yet. The fact that the Switch is not riding the Titanic with the Wii U. It's not in trouble right now, and it's not desperate for every franchise to come save it right now. The Switch is doing just fine. Guys, can we take a step back and remember that the Switch hasn't even been out for a year yet? It came out in March, remember? This was the system's first E3. Yeah, it needed to show that a lot of support was coming in the form of good games, and that's exactly what we got. But this doesn't mean that the games we saw here are all the system is ever getting. Just because we didn't see Animal Crossing, or Pikmin, or F-Zero, or Smash, doesn't mean we'll never see them. The system is doing pretty damn great right now. The fact that it's still impossible to keep on store shelves at the moment is a testament to that. If this success continues, I don't think there's any reason to believe that the Switch is going to suffer from a lack of support. It's gotta have at least a few more years left in it. I really think that this initial success is going to open the door for even more support in the future. I think because the Switch is doing so well, that's why Nintendo decided to try again with Metroid when they didn't on the Wii U. Wii U was a disaster, even Nintendo didn't have faith in it, so there was no room for taking risks. But things are different with the Switch. I think the fact that we're seeing Prime 4 is an indication that Nintendo is willing to play around with a few more of its properties, especially if they end up doing well as a result of the massive user base. If Metroid does well, I really think we'll see F-Zero, and I'm sure the other popular franchises like Animal Crossing and Smash will come in the future. But there was just so much going on with this first year that we weren't going to see absolutely everything right now. But maybe, in time, we will. Thanks for watching. This has been Brawlmaster 012 signing off.